Okay. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Welcome to our Orientation Plus video. Um, you are here today from the Hamre Center, the counseling side, to talk about mental health resources at MAC. Thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure. Is there anything that we need to know before we kind of get started?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think it's kind of all up to you at this point.
No pressure. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here today and for creating this Orientation Plus programming. I think it's just fantastic. And yes, my name is Julia Hutchinson, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. And I am the Assistant Director and Care Coordinator of Counseling Services here at Macalester College. And I first just want to welcome all the first years to campus. You will probably hear a lot from myself or other people from my office, but this is a really nice opportunity to just learn a little bit about mental health resources on campus and hopefully answer some questions. But I also want to point out that on this first slide, my email is at the bottom. So if you have additional questions about mental health resources or anything that comes up today, please reach out and let me know. I can't answer all questions today because I don't know what they are. So send me an email if you have a question. And I'm also not very much of a tech person, so this is a very rudimentary PowerPoint. But my goal for the next kind of 30 minutes is to talk about what we offer, to talk about how to access our services, provide some additional resources that might be available to you, and then if there are any questions or if I forget anything, to answer those as well. But the first thing I want to talk about is we go by a lot of different names. So our real name or our full name is the Laurie Hamre Center for Health and Wellness. But you might hear people refer to the Hamre Center or the Laurie Hamre Center or Health and Wellness or HWC. All of these names imply the Laurie Hamre Center for Health and Wellness. So if you hear me use one of those names, or if you hear a student use one of those names, know that that's what we're talking about. And at the Laurie Hamre Center for Health and Wellness, we offer a lot of different services. So we offer physical health support, mental health support, medication management, insurance support. It is where we house our Office of Health Promotion and our Office of Sexual Violence Prevention. That is different, though, from Title IX. Title IX is not a part of our office, that is separate. And I just like to run through all of those because it's important to realize that we do offer a very holistic approach to your health and wellness. So there's a lot of different things that come out of our office. Anytime you talk with one of our providers, it is included in your tuition. The physical health side of things may have to do a lab or a different test. They would always tell you if there was going to be an additional charge to what you were receiving, but more times out of not, or more often I should say, there will be no additional fee to talk with one of our providers. And I also want to honor that with health promotions, you're probably going to see a lot of different programming. There's a sleep programming that happens. There's Wellness Wednesdays. There's our sexy educators. That's all through our office as well as health promotions. But again, today we're going to focus specifically on mental health, and you will hear from these other areas within the Hamre Center probably throughout your orientation and for sure throughout your first semester here at MAC. So how do you access mental health supports? So I first want to say that we are still here. I know this is a very dynamic and different kind of semester than you probably thought you were going to have, and a lot of us are used to kind of experiencing some of these services, but we are still here. And so we are going to be offering telecounseling to all students. That is, like I said, included in tuition. It is through a Zoom format, but it is a HIPAA compliant or confidential style of Zoom. So it's still like seeing a more traditional therapist kind of face to face. It's still confidential. Most of us wear headphones just to add that extra level of confidentiality. So no one, if there's anybody outside or inside, can hear anything. So please know that we're still here and that exists. To access our services, we have a great website. So if you go through the Macalester website, again, we are the Laurie Hamre Center for Health and Wellness, and it'll talk about all of our different services. There are hyperlinks to get to our email or to a specific service or to find a specific provider. If you're like, I don't want to deal with that, I just want to get right to it, you can email us at health@macalester.edu to set up appointments. You can call us at 612-696-6275, or you can use the patient portal that most of you or all of you should probably have access to by now. It's where you're kind of putting any of your immunizations, kind of your insurance information, that kind of thing. Your student portal is a way to contact us. And then on the website is our personal emails. So let's say you have heard that, oh, Mia is a great therapist, but I don't know Mia. You can go on the website, find Mia, and reach out to her directly. So all of those resources are available to you, and all of them are ways in which to access our services. Also, let me know if I'm going too fast, because I get really excited about this stuff. But that's how to access us. We are physically located in the Leonard Center, which is the athletic building on campus. And well, most of or all of our services are going to be telecounseling. We do have one counselor on campus during the workday, just in case of any kind of emergency. So please know that we will have one person on campus every day. And I should also point out that our hours are Monday through Friday. So we are not open on the weekends, but I will talk about weekend support as well. But our typical hours are Mondays and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 4:45. Tuesday and Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And again, that's all on our website. But that is when we are open. That is when people are responding to email and phone. And that's when most of our services take place. What kind of services do we provide? So on campus, we are considered a short-term counseling support option. So traditionally, a lot of times we think of kind of the long-term therapy model where we are connected to a therapist and we meet with them on an ongoing basis. We can help connect you with that kind of therapy, but on campus, we're considered a short-term or additional support. And so how that's going to look this year is we are going to offer first appointments to students, and that could be a first appointment, and you don't even have to identify kind of what you're looking for. If you're looking for off-campus support, or if you're looking for kind of short-term or regular or long-term counseling, you can just come in and talk to one of our providers, and you can work through what you're looking for with a provider. Then we're going to offer follow-up appointments. So students, let's say you meet with a provider that first appointment and you're feeling really anxious, or the concern that you're talking about, you're like, I would like to talk to you again about this because I think it's important to follow up. We can schedule a follow-up appointment with you, no problem. You can schedule that with the provider, or you can go away, take a few days, and then decide you would like a follow-up and contact our office, and we can schedule a follow-up that way. Students can access follow-up appointments as they need them. So you can really kind of be attuned to, I think I need to talk to a counselor this week, or I think I'm good, and I'm just going to kind of see how I feel and then reach out when I need it. We're also going to do drop-in appointments, which some people hear of as like same-day appointments. So let's say you wake up and you're just not feeling great and you need to talk to a counselor, or you want to talk to a counselor that day. You can email or call our front desk and say, hey, I'd like to talk to a counselor today. And they will let you know when those drop-in appointments are, and they can schedule you. So if kind of some upperclassmen might have heard this before, or maybe on your tour you heard that you have to call 30 minutes before to get a drop-in appointment, we're changing that this year, so that you can just, if it's the first thing in the morning or if it's at noon over your lunch hour, you can call our office and say, when are the drop-in appointments available? I'd like to schedule one. We're also going to put that information online when those drop-in appointments are. And so you'll also know, you can access when the drop-ins are as well. So hopefully they can fit into your academic and school's calendar. We're going to do care coordination appointments. And so that's really for students who have questions about seeking support off campus or are looking for more specialized or long-term care. So a great example of that would be if a student was like, I really want this specific kind of therapy called DBT. Can you help me find a DBT program? Great, we can definitely do that. Or I'm looking for an AA group that meets off campus. Can you help me with that? Yes, that would be a care coordination appointment. Or if a student is like, I like these as I need them appointments, but I'd really like to have a Tuesday at 10 appointment with an ongoing therapist. Great, then we would help connect you to that off campus. So know that if you're looking for a specialized care or if you're looking for something specific, we can help support you with that. And then yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I know in the past, so like last year, students who were making a first appointment would make a first appointment with you to decide how to proceed, even if you were going to be within the Health and Wellness Center. Is that the same or different this year?
Great question. Yes, and no. So care coordination appointments will still be something that only I do. And I'm always available for a student to reach out and say, I don't know what I'm looking for. So I would say if a student is like, I don't really know what I'm looking for, all of us can kind of support you in that. If you have an idea specifically of wanting to go off campus or something like that, you can specialize and say you would like to come to me. But I think what you're talking about is that initial consult appointment, which was, again, specifically with me. And we're kind of expanding that a little this year. So all of our providers can do that first appointment. And then if in that appointment we feel like it's directed towards specialty care or off-campus care, then the follow-up appointment, the next appointment would most likely come to me.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, thanks for answering that question.
Absolutely. And first appointments can still come to me as well. Or if a student is watching this or hears from a friend or for any reason would feel more comfortable coming to me, they can email me directly and I can schedule with them that way, or they can schedule and just say, I need to talk to Julia. And that's true for any of our providers. But really good question. Yeah. Other questions? Since I'm going really fast.
I'll let you know if they come up.
Perfect. So those are kind of our appointment models, and those are typically one-on-one appointments. We also offer kind of other forms of support. So one of the ways in which we do that is counseling groups. And what's nice about a counseling group is that not only do you get kind of to work with a counselor, but you also get to process and learn from peers. And we've gotten some really great feedback that can be really helpful to know that we're not alone in what we're experiencing, or we're not alone in what we're feeling. And I have to say, even I think with everything that's going on right now too, it kind of increases our ability to feel alone in what we're feeling. And so these groups can be really helpful for that as well. So in kind of our always available appointments we have a grief and loss appointment, We have or appointment, we have a group. We have a support group for survivors of sexual violence, and we have an anxiety group. We offer more than that, and we're kind of working out which specific groups and in which module we're going to offer them. But that information is all on our website. Typically, our groups, they either meet in two different ways. A support group like grief and loss or survivors of sexual violence, it's kind of throughout the year. And while they're considered closed groups, you would meet with the facilitator or the counselor first, and then they would kind of help welcome you into the group and decide when it felt appropriate and safe to have you come into that group. Our groups like anxiety or stress management and things like that are considered psychoeducational groups. And those tend to meet just for 4-week periods. And they are more about getting information and experimenting different styles of stress management or working with your anxiety. And those tend to be short term. So we ask students to kind of commit to the full 4 weeks of the group. So that's another way to access our services. And then we also honor that sometimes you're like, I just really want to quickly check in with somebody. I don't want to schedule a 30 or 45 or 60-minute appointment. I just want another person to kind of validate what I'm feeling. Or I don't know if counseling is right for me, but I just want to talk to somebody and get some ideas. We have a program called Let's Talk, and that requires very little paperwork. Usually a Let's Talk meeting is about 15 minutes. And it's just a way to access a counselor without kind of accessing counseling. And so that's going to be available this year as well. Again, it's going to be on Zoom. But it's going to be a thing where we have like a wait room and we just kind of allow students to come in, and you're still talking to a counselor one-on-one, but it's less kind of formalized or clinical, if that makes sense. And then I also like to talk about the fact that we specifically after hours, but any time of the day, we have phone support through a program called Press 2. And why it's called Press 2 is that you're actually calling the Hamre Center for Health and Wellness. And if you get a live person, you can just say to them, I want Press 2. You don't have to tell them anything other than that. They kind of direct you to a Press 2 counselor who knows Macalester, who knows our community, and who knows our resources, and who can talk to you about whatever you're experiencing. If it's after hours, though, if it's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday or 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you can still call Press 2. You will be directed in our automated line to Press 2, press the number 2, hence the name, and then you will be directed to a Press 2 counselor that way. You can be anonymous. You don't have to give your name. They will ask you kind of just some basic information about who you are and where you are. You don't have to give that information if you don't want to. And then at the end of the call, well, I should first say the call can be about anything. The call can be that you're having a panic attack. The call can be that you just had a really tough conversation with your roommate. The call can be that you want to consult about how do I support a friend in this moment? Or the call can be, I'm having some pretty severe thoughts of hurting myself. All of those kind of concerns are welcome and a great use of Press 2. At the end of the Press 2 call, the counselor will ask, would you like a follow-up? And what that means is, would you like someone, particularly would you like me from the Hamre Center to reach out and follow up with you about what you called Press 2 about? And what that looks like is they just send me a quick note that says, hey, will you follow up with this student? They made this call. And then I would follow up the next day I'm in the office. So if it's on a Tuesday, I would follow up with you on Wednesday. If it's a Friday at 9 p.m., I would not follow up with you until Monday. So that gives you kind of some options. I also like to point out that campus security will still be active. And so if there's any concerns, if you are living on campus, that's a place to reach out to. And then Press 2 is great if you're living off campus. But Press 2 is great if you're living on campus as well. Questions about that, or am I missing any kind of information about that kind of stuff?
I mean, you're the expert, but I think you've covered it.
All right, perfect. I like to make sure, again, I get really excited about this stuff. Some people not as excited as me, and that's okay. So additional resources though. So we do provide a lot, and we are, we want to be available, and we want to support students both with on campus resources, but we also honor that there's a lot of resources off campus that actually might be better aligned with what the student is looking for. And so there are two really great resources other than me, which of course, you can always come to me if you're looking for an off-campus referral. But if you're wanting to do it on your own, we have two great resources. So one is called My Resource. It's actually, you can link to it from the Laurie Hamre Center webpage. And it is an online search tool to find counselors. And you can put in different specifiers like location or identity preferences or specialty care. And it will help kind of trickle down and create a search for you. The thing about My Resource that I really like is that every provider has to be invited to the search tool. So if you're specifically looking for in the Macalester kind of network, then I and our center have invited all of those counselors to be a part of My Resource because they are a part of our referral network. Now, not all counselors want to be on an online tool, and that's fine too. So there are additional resources that we know of. But I really like My Resource because it's kind of a curated search. Psychology Today is also a great resource. Psychology Today, though, for some people can feel very overwhelming. It is a national search tool. It's actually international because you can look for counselors in the UK. But it is primarily it's a national search tool. Counselors pay a small fee to be a part of it, but then you can be a part of it. So there's necessarily no referral or it's not like me saying, oh, I've worked with Sarah Hart before, she's wonderful, right? It's kind of, they might be great and they might not be the right resource for you. But Psychology Today is a really great way to look around the country. It's a great way to start to get to know like what you're looking for. And it's a wonderful resource to find providers. I sometimes have students who have done a Psychology Today search and then send me like 5 names. And they're like, hey, do you know any of these people? These profiles look interesting to me. And then I can help them kind of weed through those. So those are great for finding providers. We already talked about Press 2, which is a great 24-hour support. There's also a really great, again, national support for texting. So sometimes we don't want to talk. Sometimes we can't talk. But we still want to connect to someone and let someone know what's going on and hopefully get some support. So you can text, and there's a couple different words that you can text as your opening line. So you could text home, you could text connect, or you could text hello to 741-741. And a counselor is monitoring those texts and then can start to support you via text if that's a preferred way. And then I also put some additional resources on campus because I think a lot of times people think of the Hamre Center as like the place to go if you're distressed. Absolutely, please come to us. But there are additional resources on campus that you can reach out to that might also be a great resource for you. So I put all of the acronyms, so I apologize about that. I'm just realizing. But the Center for Religious and Spiritual Life is a great resource. DML, oh my God, Diversity and Multicultural Life. I was like, wait a second. Disability Services is a great resource. The Office of Student Affairs can be a really great resource, especially when looking for specific questions about leave of absence or food concerns or off-campus housing concerns. The Office of Student Affairs can be really great for that. If you happen to be a student athlete talking to a coach, or Paula, who's the head trainer on campus, she has a connection to a sports psychologist that we partner with. And sometimes athletes really prefer to work with a sports psychologist, and that's fine. They're therapists just like us, and then they have kind of a specialty training of working with athletes. So that's available to students. And then if you're living in the residence halls, your RA or your RHD can be a great resource as well. And they might have some other ideas of how to give you the support that you need. So those are just some additional resources. And then I also wanted to mention that this is a different kind of year. I mean, we have a lot going on. We have a global pandemic. We have economic concerns. We have social justice concerns. There's a lot that's going to be happening this year. We have environmental concerns. There's a lot that's going to be happening this year. And in all of this, I also want to honor that it is really important that we take care of ourselves. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And a lot of times when we think about how to take care of ourselves, I like to think about it as we need to take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. So these are just some things to think about, and there's some things that I personally have to think about as we're isolating or we're doing school remotely. We're probably in our homes a lot or our apartments a lot. So making sure that we take moments to breathe, making sure that we take moments to move because we're not walking across campus necessarily, getting fresh air. That's going to be really important in winter, because we're all going to want to stay inside all the time. Laughing and playing. I'm a huge advocate of drawing. I'm a huge advocate of having a dance party. I'm a huge advocate of like kicking a ball around. But making sure that we do that we find some levity in our lives, because there's a lot going on. And then really important, just those like daily activities, making sure we're getting enough water. It's so easy to get dehydrated, I find, when I'm sitting still a lot. Eating enough food or food that feels good on our bodies. Doing things that feel good for us just in our self-care, like brushing our hair or taking a shower or a bath. Exercising, whatever it is for you, but making sure that we keep doing that. And then, again, hygiene. I think that's a big one. I joke, but I was talking to a family member who was like, I haven't brushed my teeth in 2 days. I was like, well, that's, maybe we should brush our teeth today. So just those little things I think can be really easy to forget in this time. And so I just wanted to remind us that it's really important that we take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. And here are some ways to do it. And then I wanted to end with my email again. Again, I'm very available. Send me an email. I try and be really responsive. I work Monday through Friday, and I will do my best to get to those questions. I know you will probably have a lot of questions. No question is too small. Please reach out to us, either myself or our front desk. We are still here, even though our offices look a little different. Anything that you think I have missed or anything that you would like to add?
Well, I don't know that you've missed anything, but I do know there are a lot of sort of resources other than the ones that you've talked about, like national hotlines. There are warm lines that you can call, which I'm personally am a big fan of. They're like hotlines, but not crisis. Those are cool. I know there's like a walk-in, since we're in the pandemic, you can't actually walk in anymore, but like free therapy through an organization in the Twin Cities that's pretty cool, and has some different hours than the Health and Wellness Center does.
Yeah, the nice thing about walk-in, especially right now, is that you don't fit. So they have 3 different offices. And we used to only advertise, obviously, their St. Paul office. But now you can go, I think their appointments are on Monday through Thursday. And as you mentioned, yeah, they tend to go from 5 to 7 or 5 to 8. So they tend to go a little later than our appointments. And it's that same model, like you show up when you need to, but you're also allowed, if you're feeling something where you feel like I would like a follow-up, you are allowed to ask for a follow-up with that counselor. Great reminder of that. Yes, it's a wonderful resource. Any other things
I
that
can ask you like some random questions that are popping up in my brain that I don't even know if any first year students are like having these questions, but they could be. If you are, say, a minor when you come to campus, how does getting mental health care look like if you're in that position?
Great question. So typically, we don't have a lot of students who are under the age of 17. So it's really that 17 to 18 period that we're worried about. Once you are 18, I first want to acknowledge this. Once you are 18, you are a legal adult, which means that your records are completely confidential and we cannot share them with anyone, including a parent or guardian, without your permission. So that means we can't confirm that there's an appointment. That means we can, that can be really different from how students and all of us sought health and mental health care previously, right? Like our parent or guardian knew everything. Once you're 18, that is not true. We get to protect that. If you are a minor, you can still seek care with our office. Absolutely. There is additional paperwork that happens, and we have a conversation about what confidentiality looks like. But most students turn 18 within the first semester, and once they turn 18, it is completely confidential. So they can still see us. We would have a conversation about what they would and would not like a parent to know. But because they are 17, parents still have some access, or some rights, I should say. But we would talk about that with the student. They can still come though, and that first appointment, it basically is a consult, right? Because we're also dealing with the fact that there are state lines involved. And so there's a lot of things that which I didn't actually talk about, I realize. But if there are first years who are in another state, we also have to talk about the legalities of state lines with that student. So we work with the student to figure out what is available and what are any constrictions, but they can still come and see us, and then we would have that richer conversation about what that looks like specifically for them. That kind of answer the question?
Yeah. Okay. So. Thank you. And this question is sort of related to the state lines question. I know this is a very different year than most years, and we may have some international students joining us from abroad. Can they access mental health resources at the Health and Wellness Center? What does that look like for them?
Yeah, great question. So they are a student at Macalester, so they are more than welcome to come to our office and talk to a counselor. From that conversation, we might have to talk about what resources are fully available and what aren't. And the reason I'm being a little vague about that is that it'll depend, right? Like we have some relationships with certain states, and we don't have that same licensure relationship with other states. So I really want to encourage students to come, right? Come to that first appointment. Come and talk to us. That there is no harm there, right? That is a first appointment. That is a consultation to talk about what you're looking for, what you need, and what we can do, right? So come, that appointment, no concerns. And then we will start to talk about, okay, you're in Japan. Let's talk about what that might look like. What are the restrictions? What aren't the restrictions? What can we do? What can't we do? The one service that is for sure covered with no question is Press 2. So even if a student is abroad, right, and it's, I don't know time zones right off the top of my head, but let's say like it's noon where they are and it's nighttime here. They can still call Press 2 and still get support even though our office is closed. And Press 2 is still available because it is designed as a crisis support over state lines, and it's designed specifically for colleges. So it is their licensure allows them to practice that way. But students should still definitely come to us. This is a unique year and a unique semester. And we will work with them and then figure out what we need to put in place in order to be as ethical and safe as possible. Yeah, good question though. Really important question.
I think those were the two questions that were sort of rattling around in my brain. So unless you have anything else to add.
The only thing I want to add is I want to plug This Matters at Mac, which is going to be part of orientation. And that's going to be a time to meet other members of the Hamre Center for Health and Wellness. So they're going to talk about physical health, mental health, insurance, and health promotions, and sexual violence prevention, all at that. So that's going to be a really important and really rich presentation. And I bet some of these issues will come up again, because again, I'm talking about physical health. Our insurance specialist, I'm sure, will have some things to share about what this means insurance-wise, and our health team, our physical health team, will have some ideas and thoughts about how this affects kind of physical health. So I really want to plug that and say it's going to be a great presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. I've watched the wellness and well-being and sexual respect videos, and they are super good. Kevin, the dog, makes an appearance. Wonderful. And as an orientation coordinator, I've been working with the OLs to make sure that they are super ready to debrief all of that information and have all the sort of resources on deck for first years.
Awesome. Yeah, fantastic. And then, yeah, if you have any question, I mean, these were great questions that you brought up today, and they're things that like we're thinking about, but I sometimes don't think to present about. So keep them coming. Send me emails and let me know.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Julia. This has been super informative, and I'm sure will help many people. I hope you have a great rest of your summer, great rest of the day.
Thank you. It's so good to see you. And thank you again for putting this on and inviting me to join. I really appreciate it.